Everybody back?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
First thing on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance, and Dr. Sharon, if you'll lead us in the pledge, please.
Yes, sir. You ready?
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next is approval of the minutes. Next is approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, Dennis Deloach, I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Sheila Porter, second.
It's been promptly moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 James Sharon, aye.
Sheila Porter, aye.
Dennis Deloach, aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next is 2.3, newer Husky elementary school update. Dr. Wright.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, and all that are listening, we are making good progress with the new Husky Elementary School. Obviously, we all know that in this area we had a lot of rain, so it wasn't. There certainly weren't 5 days of work last week, but what we decided for the building minus the auditorium.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, thank you for that. And the and what are called, what I call anyway, the foundation blocks starting to be laid, and that work is probably 75% complete now. And they are simply the foundation center blocks that go on top of the concrete. So again, there's very good progress made, and I think at the next time we do a video, you will even see more definition of the school and how it's actually going to look, at least from the floor plan perspective. But very pleased with the progress of what's going on, and learning some process right now in terms of how AR Chesson gets compensated. We're working on some stuff so far, so everything is moving along as it should. Pleased with the progress, and hopefully next week I'll be able to get back out there. Site probably gonna stay away this week, but next week I hope to be able to get back out.
Well, let's move right along. They really have done a good job. And Dr. Wright, you mentioned this last time. It's the cleanest building site I've ever seen. I mean, you know, when they... It
absolutely is. Been very pleased with that, and I try to commend them each time I am in their presence.
I mean, there's not even many drink bottles and stuff thrown on the ground. I can't get over it. I mean, they got different workers than what I'm used to working around my place anyway. Next is the Bulletin Board.
Good afternoon, Chair Shields, board members, and Dr. Wright. The June Bulletin Board were done by Bearfield Primary Principal, Mrs. Julie Shields. The boards were created by Judy Mazzell, Lead Secretary, Andrea Gatlin, Secretary/Payroll, and Stanford Harrell, Data Manager and Bookkeeper. If you notice in the boardroom, it states that Hereford County Public Schools, making memories from a distance, and the one in the lobby is really talking about safety with all our schools. So we need to just give Mrs. Shields and Bearfield a big hand.
Next is consideration for the minutes from April 27th and May 18th, regular session.
Sheila Porter, I make a motion to approve consideration of minutes for April 27th and May 18th, 2020.
James Sharon, second that motion.
Go ahead.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion or any corrections to the minutes? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Dennis DeLoach.
Sheila
James
Porter, aye.
Sharon,
Motion carries. Next is the request for non-competitive bid for vendors. Ms. Ward, 3.1. There was no public comment. Anyway, Ms. Ward is here to discuss the non-competitive bids about vendors.
Chairman Shields, board members, and Dr. Wright, I prepared for you a list from curriculum and instruction of different vendors that we will be using or would like to use for curriculum and professional development that we would need to have permission for non-bidding sole sourcing.
You had a request coming from the C&I department for the curriculum non-competitive bid request. What's your pleasure?
Sheila Porter, I make a motion to approve the administration's request at this time.
Thank you.
James Sharon, second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Shields, I have a question for discussion. Ms. Ward, we have, you've requested this approval before. Would you explain to the public again why we are recommending that we approve this non-bidding process?
Yes, sir. The purpose for these vendors that I put on the list are they're vendors that we have used their products and would like to continue with the use of those curriculum products and professional development. In many of the cases, it's a continuation of goals that we have in our school improvement plan for training and for the consistency's sake. And others are products that we have used that have proven to be successful for our media center and our diagnostic testing for our students. And so we have to, if we're not going to go out and bid these programs, we have to have permission from our local board due to school policy, and then next step will be to get approval from the state in order that we don't send out bids for the product.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that the public knew why we were considering this non-competitive bid. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Shields.
Yes, sir. All those in favor say aye. Oh, Mr. Hall. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Mr. Hall?
Ms. Ward,
Yes, sir.
talk to me about I-Station. I see you have I-Station up here to be
Yes, sir.
utilized.
Well, as you know, we used iStation this previous year for our K-3 research.
Correct.
And
Correct.
the coming year, the state has determined that each district will get to choose the diagnostic program that they would like to use. I have talked with our principals, who in turn have talked to the teachers, and although it is not a 100% agreement, there's different opinions on the type of system we will use, it's my recommendation, and in talking to the principals, that we remain with iStation for the 2021 school year. This will help provide consistency and an apples-to-apples comparison for data from what we did have from 2019 to 2020. It would be one less change that we would be faced with for the upcoming year. And I just believe that the program, we were seeing some success and some positive comments from our parents and from the teachers that were using it. So it's my recommendation we stay with iStation for the next year.
What you gonna do after 2021?
I've tried to facilitate.
Well, hold it. This is a 1-year contract with iStation?
Yes, sir. This is only for 1 year.
Right. What about after? And by the way,
I have tried to ask questions at both our regional level with individuals, other superintendents, Dr. Wright, different people. Of course, nobody knows for sure what's going to happen because we'll also have a new state superintendent. My understanding that there's a possibility if things work well that this data comparison will be done by Lexile scores and that we will continue to be offered the opportunity to choose what product we would like to use. If not, and it's state mandated, then we will go with the state mandated product.
and iStation was on that approved list sent out by DPI?
Yes, sir. To best of my knowledge, it is, unless they have a list they've not provided to us. Are you aware of something?
No, I'm not. No, I'm just asking.
It's on there, Mr. Hall. I've seen it. It's on there. Yes, sir.
I'm surprised. I think everybody knows why.
Yes, sir. Right. Absolutely. But it is on there.
Okay. But remember, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Ward,
Yes, sir.
only 1 year. Hear me? Only
Yes,
1
sir.
year. Changes are coming, I believe. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
James Sharon, aye.
Dennis Deloach, aye.
Sheila Porter, aye.
With the whole line.
Motion carries. Thank you. CNI update, Ms. Ward.
I've provided for you a grant update for the various curriculum and instruction grants that we are working with at this time. Are there any questions?
Yes, I have one question, Mr. Shields.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Ward, the SRO grant, is this a new grant?
The SRO grant, it is a new grant that I have applied for, yes, sir.
Okay.
And if we were to be approved, it would take effect 2021.
Right. So we just got one, was it last year?
We have had one for the past 2 years.
Okay.
Previously, the SRO grant was it was kind of just a continuation if you just filed your paperwork. However, starting with 2021, it has now become a competitive bid.
Right. And I see we have to provide matching funds on this one.
Yes, sir. We did have a portion we had to provide.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other comments or concerns? All right. Next, the CTE local plan. Ms. Butrell.
I can do it from my phone if I need to. Chris, I can do it from my phone. Chair Shields, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Wright, good afternoon to you. I have submitted to you a PowerPoint presentation for the CTE local grant for 2020-2021. I have also submitted to you a document for your signatures contingent upon approval of the plan, and the signature will allow us to submit our plan for funding for the 2020-2021 school year.
On your PowerPoint presentation, it begins with career clusters. There are actually 16 career clusters and 73 related career pathways in the CTE program. Each of those clusters that we break down in this district, we break them down so that students can have a focus on each one of those pathways. It develops a clear, more informed educational plan over time for students. This school year, because of Perkins 5, we streamlined all of our pathways. What we have in each pathway, we have about 8. You will see we have what's called CTE Advanced Studies. This advanced study course will actually allow students to build upon the knowledge they've obtained in 2 or 3 technical credits, meaning 2 or 3 other courses in that same career area. The 4 parts, they will do a research paper, they will produce a product, they will present their research paper and their product, and they will deliver it with a presentation. Also, we have Cte Internships. COVID-19 will certainly affect that, but we had great success with our internships last school year. Those are offered in 16 career clusters as well. Internships do not have a prerequisite. As long as the students meet the requirements set aside by the state and the local CTE program, a student can actually take a CTE internship. Whereas the CTE Advanced Studies, students must take 2 or 3 technical credits. For example, they must take Entrepreneurship 1 and Entrepreneurship 2 before they can take an advanced study in that area. In 2020 and 2021, CTE will continue their work. We are at 3 schools, the middle school, the high school, and C.S. Brown STEM. We are continuing to offer innovative courses, especially in rural districts such as Hereford County. We want to take off some of those limitations and allow students to take some things that are sort of out of the box and to expose them so we can prepare them for global changes. Our CTE teachers have been involved in advanced training, such as with robotics, which is the computer science piece. They've been working with Spiros, and they will be working with Little Bits, and some more working with Vex robots. Project-based learning, such as at the STEM school and at the high school. We are planning to finish our agricultural lab. We also have a foods lab. And of course, you're very familiar with virtual enterprise from C.S. Brown STEM. Also, we're looking at experiential learning. We have the internships and advanced studies, but we also want to bring a course called Public Health Fundamentals. And we want to provide externships for our teachers. Again, that's all going to depend on how COVID-19 affects the next school year. When you look at your PowerPoint presentation, you will see I have broken it down by the pathways. The first one is agriculture education, and if you see a school and those courses, it means we have that at that particular school. So we have agriculture at the high school. We have arts and AV at the high school. But I also put you a note there that we also have a studio at the C.S. Brown STEM School. They have a media club there. CTE supports that. When you look at the business management and administration slide, you'll see Hereford County Middle School listed. That's because we have courses in that area, that pathway at that school. Then we go on to C.S. Brown STEM and the high school. And it goes on, and if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll pause at Health Science at C.S. Brown STEM because this is where the most change is taking place. They will actually do a course called Pharmacy Technician. So we'll be able to help students become certified in that area next school year. Public Health Fundamentals is a course where students can get accreditation or a certificate to be a to be a health home care worker. We know that that's a very needed career area in Hereford County. And if we continue, we see that we have human services, of course, which is in foods at the high school. Hospitality and tourism is with sports marketing 1 and 2. And at the middle school, you will see also in information technologies where we have the Minecraft coding. We will be moving into our intermediate and advanced courses next school year. At the C.S. Brown High School, because of COVID-19, I was unable to travel to Cabarrus County to finish partnering with them on their robotics program. We hope to bring that, if not next year, then we will have to do it the following year. But we want to offer a local course option so that C.S. Brown STEM can have more leadway in doing engineering with robots. At the middle school, of course, we'll be continuing with our STEM courses. We also have what's called Major Clarity. It's been quite a task to get this going, but We're still working on it and believe that we'll meet the greatest amount of success next year. Major Clarity is a robust platform where counselors, teachers, the CDC, everyone can go in and put information as they talk to students about different career areas. Students can do interest surveys. They can choose colleges they want to visit, and just basically from A to Z. That's from 6th to 12th grade. Are there any questions?
Ms. Futrell?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Futrell, I have a question, and I don't know the answer to it. Do you remember that teacher cadet program we had at the high school some years ago? Were you around then?
I do recall. I remember that.
Was that funded through CTE, or was it? Do you remember?
I don't believe it was funded through CTE, but what we do have is now they have an education pathway in CTE that I would love for us to offer to students, but they have to have a certain licensure, and I believe it's in human services. I would have to check that and see if we have a teacher that's eligible to teach it. That's usually where our barriers are. We want to offer things, but we don't have teachers who can teach it. Sometimes we need teachers to go back and see if they can get trained in those areas. But CTE actually has a pathway, and we can really build our own teachers if we have to.
Well, that is certainly an area that I encourage the administration to look into as we for the upcoming year or next year or whenever, well, as soon as possible, because of the desire for teachers in the pipeline. But I remember that teacher cadet program we had, but I didn't know how it was funded. I don't know whether it was a state issue or local or out of CTE.
I can't recall. Yes, sir.
It won't call CTE then. Well, what was the name of it then?
Vocational education?
Yes,
sir. But I recall teacher cadets. I remember that. We actually have students, believe it or not, that completed their internships at schools. We had a young man, he was almost, Miss Phillips can attest to it, but I believe he was at her school, did a very great job, did very well. In the past, we've had others who wanted to be exceptional children's teachers, and they work with people like Miss Farr. So there's an interest for it.
Well, I certainly hope that, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I certainly hope that we look into that as we provide more opportunities for our children, if we're still putting children first. This is certainly a class that I thought, and I don't know what happened, that we stopped offering it, but I certainly hope that we will look at it in the very near future. And along with that, in case I forget, Ms. Futrell, September 30th?
Yes, sir.
I want you to congrats. Wish you well. Thank you for giving us this lead time for September, but I thought I saw that correctly.
Yes, sir.
But,
thank you.
You deserve it.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So the document, I guess we need to vote on that, get a signature.
We need to have a vote on the CTE plan for this school year. A motion?
Sheila Porter, I'd like to make a motion to approve the CTE plan for the upcoming year.
Dennis Deloach, second motion.
And properly moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Dennis Deloach, aye.
Sheila Porter, aye.
Wendell Hall.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next is calendar revision. Ms. Parker.
Chair Shields, board members, Dr. Wright, you have before you the 2020 and 2021 revised calendars. You will see the district office calendar committee along with the school calendar committee, which included the principals, along with Dr. Wright, Ms. Ward, Dr. Shamika Long Lane, Brunette Parker, Nicole Balance, Latoya Langford, and Terry Darrington. The first calendar that you will see is the traditional calendar, and the school calendar revisions required by Senate Bill 704. And these are the mandates that we had. We all know that we are supposed to begin school August 17th. Our traditional calendar last day for students is May 28th. And we cannot go beyond June 11th. So we will have some extra days in the calendar for bad weather. Our teacher contracted work days still remain the same, which is 215 days. Ending our first semester with our revised calendar will be before our December prior to our Christmas break. And we had to include 5 remote learning days that's scheduled within this calendar. Also, our calendar meets the 1,025-hour minimum. And we have 5 additional in-person instructional days that were put in this calendar. Do we have any questions concerning the traditional calendar?
Mr. Chairman, Wendell Hall. Ms. Parker, I don't have well, yes I do. And yes I don't. The 5 remote learning days, that's automatic due to the recent legislation.
Yes.
And this also is for the superintendent, I would assume. Depending upon which ABC schedule that we fall under, are we thinking about having any additional remote learning days? Or are we just waiting to hear more?
Yes, sir. I think we're going to have additional remote days if we go with B or C, Mr. Hall. Yes, sir.
Correct. Now, the problem is, though, and I guess y'all have already talked about it, Mr. Superintendent, is that in order to get those additional days, though, you're going to have to get special permission because those 5 is locked into law.
Right.
You see where I'm coming from?
I do. And the question on the board, and I'm sure you're aware of this in your work on the state board, is if B does a remote day that a child stays home on his, and I hate to use the word off,
right.
That's the only way I can say it. Right. Does that count as a remote learning day or not? If it does not, then we're okay with the calendar we have. And we're going to have to request what you're talking about, because under B, of course, we have all children in school at time, and for us, it's going to be catastrophically expensive. I'll just say it that way. For us to have multiple shifts on the same day. In other words, a morning and an afternoon. Cost-wise, is going to tear us all to pieces, even if we can get additional funding from the county commissioners, which is highly unlikely. So we think that if we have to do B, we're going to have to do it with a some days on, some days off model, and we'll have to address that very issue with the remote learning days and how they're counted and so forth, depending on if we're in that situation. Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if you're giving any thought to it, because that 5 days, You're going to see a combination of A and B. I put money on it.
I think you're right. Yes, sir.
You're going to see a combination of A and B. Thank you, Ms. Parker, and thank you, Mr. Superintendent, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next we have the modified calendar, information from early college, high school, and it is most of the, same facts apply to the modified calendar. Teacher contracted work days remains at, 215, and we're ending the first semester in December prior to the Christmas break. We have included 5 remote learning days, which is required. The calendar meets the 1,025-hour minimum, and we have 5 additional in-person instructional days identified in this calendar. Any questions?
Request coming for the preschool calendars. Can I have a motion? Can I have a motion to approve the 3 calendars?
Mr. Chair, Dr. Sharon, I make a motion that we approve the traditional calendar and the modified calendar as presented to us.
Second it, Sheila Porter.
Been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Dennis Loach, aye.
James Sharon, aye.
Sheila Porter, aye.
Wendell Hall, aye.
Thank you very much. The motion carries. Next is federal grant. Dr. King. I want y'all to know that Dr. King and Ms. Futrell are both sitting on my right. I don't know whether that means anything or not, but they're both leaving, so I don't know whether that means that, is that why they both sat over there on that side? I'm not sure, but anyway, we're all sad.
Good afternoon. I'm here to present the federal grant applications for the 2020-21 school term to get your approval. First of all, I have the 611 grant, the 619 grant, the Title I grant, Title II grant, Title IV grant. Okay. First, I'll start with Title the 611 and 619 grant. I need your approval for those 2 grants, which are the EC grants.
So we need approval for the 611 grant?
And the 619.
619 grant?
Right.
Mr. Shields, Dennis Deloach, a motion that we approve the grants, number 611 and number 619.
Sheila Porter, second it.
Been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 And approved.
Next, I need your approval on the Title I and Title II grant.
Can I get a motion?
Mr. Shields, Sheila Porter, I make a motion to approve the Title I and Title II grants.
Mr. Shields, I second. James Sharon.
And been properly second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you.
Next, I need your approval on the Title IV grant.
Mr. Shields, James Sharon, I make a motion that we approve the Title IV grant.
Okay.
Dennis Deloach, I second the motion.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Next is student insurance recommendations. Dr. King.
Yes, we are recommending, American Advantage for this school term, the 2021 school term, and it is a $43.91 decrease from last year, but we're recommending the same insurance for the approval for the county this year for the students.
I have a question. Do they give us a discount if we're doing remote learning?
Yes, we'll find out.
It
should be,
that
that would be, Cindy would find that out for us.
Okay. Anyway, there's a proposal on the floor that the student insurance remain the same with the same company.
Right.
Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Shields, Dennis Deloach, I motion that we accept American Advantages as our insurance provider for our students.
Sheila Porter, second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Been properly.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. King,
Yes.
ditto for you also. Congratulations and enjoy.
Thank you.
Serve time well for us.
Thank you.
Even though you were 30 days ahead of Miss Futrell.
Yep. My birthday comes early.
That's what it was. Okay. Bottom line, that check looked different. All right. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
We're not going to discuss 3.9 right now. We table that until we get more information. Next is 4.1, Dr. Longman.
Good afternoon, Chair Shields, Dr. Wright, members of the board. Today I have retirements, resignations, and transfers for your information.
Okay.
Today I have 3 certified requests for your approval: Carice Bowser, Christina Christian, and Tamisha Fennell.
You have a request coming from the administration for the 3 recommendations certified.
Mr. Shields, Dennis Deloach, I recommend that we approve the 3 recommendations coming from the administration.
James Sharon, second that motion, Mr. Shields.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Additional employment.
Today I have 61 additional employment requests for child nutrition, long-term substitutes, administrative assistants, Jump Start, and Homebound.
Mr. Chair, Sheila Porter, I make a motion to approve the additional employment.
Shields, I second that motion. James Sharon.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion about 61, additional employment request? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you.
Today, I have annual and four-year teacher contracts for your approval.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, Sheila Porter, I make a motion to approve the annual and contingent contracts.
Dennis Deloach, second the motion.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And properly moved and seconded that we approve the annual and contingent contracts. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Next is course change request. Dr. Lawley.
Today, I have a course change request for Hereford County High School in the Cte department for your approval.
Any request
Mr.
come?
Shields, Dennis Deloach. I motion that we approve the CET change coming from the business administration and the superintendent.
Sheila Porter, seconded.
Properly moved and seconded that we accept the course change as recommended. All those in favor, any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Next is the position change request.
Today, I have two position change requests for the curriculum and instruction department for your approval.
Mr. Shields, James Sharon, I make a motion that we accept the position change request.
Sheila Porter, seconded.
Hello?
No.
Yeah, can y'all hear us?
No, we didn't.
I can now.
Spoken now.
We're waiting on, all those in favor of the motion for the request, the
Position change request.
position change request, say aye. I'm sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Must have been standing too far away from the speaker. Sorry. Next is interim budget. Ms. Martin.
Good afternoon, Chair Shields, members of the board, and Dr. Wright. You have before you the interim budget for fiscal year 21 for your approval.
The request is that we approve the interim budget for the school year 2021.
Mr. Shields, Dennis Deloach. I motion that we approve the interim budget. We have to have a budget. I approve this interim budget coming from Ms. Martin and the superintendent.
Sheila Porter, seconded.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Budget amendments, Ms. Martin?
You also have budget amendment number 11 for the State Public School Fund, which is an increase of $228,597. And budget amendment number 12 for Federal Grants Fund, which is $1,060,705, both for your approval.
You have a request coming for budget amendment 11 and 12 from the administration.
Mr. Chair, James Sharon, I make a motion that we approve budget amendment number 11 and number 12 is coming from the administration.
Dennis Deloach, second motion.
Been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Next is board policy revisions. This is the second reading for board policy 2127, 2302, 4230, 5050, 7503, 7560, 7520. Dr. Wright?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the board, those 7 policy numbers that have just been read, I can read them individually if I need to, but they have been placed in our online for the last 30 days for review. Our recommended changes from the North Carolina School Boards Association, and we are recommending approval at this time.
Get a request coming from the administration to approve the 7 board policies.
Sheila Porter, I make a motion to approve the 7 board policy revisions at this time.
James Sharon, second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Superintendent's report?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the board, I have a few things that I'd like to discuss. First of all, without getting into too much detail over this recorded here we have going on, I would just like to say thank you to all of you that have kept me in your thoughts and prayers. Things I've gone through have been successful, and we're looking forward to a full and complete recovery. I believe that we're on the way to that. So again, thank you for all your thoughts, prayers, cards, calls, text messages, and just general thoughts about my well-being. I really do appreciate it. In terms of the school district, we'd like to congratulate the following employees on their retirement from Hertford County Public Schools. 2019-2020 school year. I don't think I've run anybody away, but we certainly celebrate their retirement. They have served our district for a total of 109 years. On that list is Carolyn Bond, who's a teacher assistant for Hertford County Middle School. She completed 28 years of service. Sharon Bearfield Elementary completed 30 years of service. Mary Higgins, teacher assistant, Bearfield Primary School, 32 years of service. Lawrence, director of supplemental programs at the district office, 30 years of service. Teacher assistant, Riverview Elementary School, 21 years of service. And not on the list, but certainly a part of this is Miss Katrina Futrell, our director of CTE. You can speak for your years of service.
21.85 as of September 30th.
Okay, I knew it was over 20. Okay, so again, congratulations to each of those this time in their retirement, and we wish them the best. And we look forward to seeing all of them back after their Hervey High School on June 13th. They had their non-traditional graduation that took place. School provided a degree of closure for 127 graduates and moved forward with recognizing their great achievements of finishing high school with graduation lawn signs. So at the end of graduation, students went out and picked up their lawn signs, which we now see all over our county, which is a beautiful thing. They practiced social distancing by providing 2 ceremonies. The school did. One of them was at 9 o'clock a.m., and that was for students' last names ending in A through N. And then 10:30 a.m. had a ceremony with students' last names ending in O through Z. College High School on May 27th, they held virtual freshman orientation, and also graduation will be held June 26th at 5 p.m. at Roanoke Chowan Community College courtyard for 5 graduates. C.S. Brown High School STEM graduation is scheduled at this point for August 1st for 15 students beginning at 12 noon outside around the flagpole. The rain site location will be at the C.S. Brown Cultural Arts Center on campus. And senior drive-through was held on June 5th, where seniors received senior baskets for each graduating students. Our middle and elementary schools ended the year activities and promotion were all very successful. All of them were drive-through in some form or another. Thanks to everyone who was all in for providing a great experience for our students. The technology department and our new director, Mr. Reggie Langford. Park and Learn access is now available at Hertford County High School and Hertford County Middle School. Any student with a Hertford County Public School device will only need to park in the park designated by orange cones and power on their device to have internet access. The HCPS parking lot located the staff parking lot in front of A building, and the HCMS parking lot location is in the staff parking lot to the left of A building. Internet access will be available from June 1st, 2020 until July 30th, 2020. July 31st, 2020. Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We ask that social distancing please be maintained of at least 6 feet apart and learn areas. The Hertford County JCPC approved funding for the program application submitted for Hertford County. Team applied for by Student Services, and that amount of $22,000 to fund that program that we're looking to re-implement in County Public Schools for the 2021 year. We are excited to also inform you that the Student Services Department will be offering teachers and staff the opportunity to participate in licensing circles via Zoom. The purpose of listening circles is to allow teachers and staff a chance to express their feelings regarding the COVID-19 pandemic or other feelings they may be experiencing. Through the partnership with Resources for Resilience, this is the name of the company, we are able to host several 1-hour free listening circles where participants will be guided on the use of resiliency tools to bring their nervous systems back into balance. Hertford County Student Services also provided SEL virtual training for teachers, counselors, and behavior support staff, facilitating resources for resilience. That same organization that we just mentioned will be sponsoring and through that, and that is also a way for us to look at ways that we teach about trauma, the brain, and the human system. There is also 2-day, 14-hour Reconnect for Resilience training for classroom teachers. Day 1 will focus on foundations of neuroscience and emotional regulation resiliency tools, demonstration, and practice. Day 2 focus on restoring self-compassion tools, demonstration, and participate in supervised practice groups. Both of the sessions will be 7 hours per day in length, done over the summer. One day, there's also a 1-day SEL champion to guidance counselors and behavioral support staff. Just a few of the things that we have going on in terms of our superintendent highlights. And again, just want to say in this time of unrest in our country, I am charging people, I've done it on Facebook and Twitter, this forum, the help that we need is when we see injustices, it is all of our responsibility to point them out and to correct them. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
May I ask the superintendent a couple of questions quickly?
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Superintendent,
Yes,
where
sir.
would Jumpstart be held this year? What
Ms.
school?
Ward, can you
Yes, sir.
help us with that?
Hertford County selected remote learning for our Jumpstart, and that will be for BPS, RES, and we are including 4th grade from AES.
Okay, so they won't be physically coming to the schools?
No, sir.
Okay. Number 2. Dang, it blew my mind on that one. And number 2, the feeding program.
Yes, sir.
Where would our feeding program be held?
We're going to hold our folks. We're going to keep it where it is, so we'll still have the middle and Hertford County High, and it is ongoing. We've not.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And let me make sure I understood about our remote learning for these ones who having non-reading issues. It will be remotely done.
Yes, sir. We've put together.
How many hours per day?
6.
6 hours?
6 hours. Now, all that will not be on the phone remotely. There's a combination of direct instruction, independent work, contact, and daily contact to talk about the work that you're doing, and in addition to that, some formative assessment.
Okay. How many students do we have in that falls in that Jumpstart category?
We do not have back parents' reply yet, but there were 110 from Bearfield, 54 from RES, and this is with the targeted population. Required, and I believe there were 36. I'm sorry, I don't have that number right in front of me from AES.
So that's approximately, it's not 300 though, it's somewhere between 250 and 3.
Yes, sir. And then if parents, if we do not get a high enough response, then we will go back and add in 1st graders to that. But we also are doing the option to provide resources to parents. If they don't want them involved in the remote, then we will provide them with resources with contact 2, possibly 3 times during that 3-week period just to follow up to see if the students are engaged in anything.
Okay. Well, thank you. I had not heard of and you said that's a going trend down the state as offering it remotely this time?
My understanding, there's a variety of plans that are in. That was when we looked to try to get staffing and be able to do a face-to-face, we were not able to support that in our district.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Dr. Wright?
No, sir, I don't have any. I hope that answered the question that was on the floor. Yes, sir.
Yes, next is, State Board highlights. Mr. Hall?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will certainly try not to go through this whole 3 or 4 pages I have here because of the length of the day that we've been involved. But the State Board has been truly active. And I want to include the State Board, the North Carolina School Board Association, fold some of it all into one. Let me start by saying this. There's a great concern across this state on the number of superintendent vacancies that exist and will exist in the state this upcoming year. Just never seen it like this. I mean, there are vacancies everywhere, and superintendents are retiring most likely and leaving, but there's a real concern about what's going on in that particular area. Dr. Wright, I think your group has talked about it also, with the average age
yes,
of
the
average experience that a superintendent has now in the state. And it's something like 5 or 6 years.
Yes, sir. I think the average is actually a little bit less than that, Mr. Hall. We've got, I think the number is 58 to 60, and that's not including these recent retirements that are 3 years or less. So we've got a bunch of that have been hired on since I have. I put it that way across the state. I mean, like. Okay, and I just want to put, and there's a concern yes, there. I was appointed by the governor to the DRIVE committee to look at how to get more teachers of color, Native Americans, ethnic minorities, teachers into the pipeline. That, along with the superintendent vacancies, is having an impact on the achievement level of students. We have met, and I represent the board also on that committee, and we've met 3 times to discuss possibilities of how we can increase the number of minorities in the classroom, in the pipeline. And you'll be hearing more and more about that as we move forward. Last month, the State Board had a lot of discussion about our new curriculum and what's highlighted in the curriculum on social studies, American history. And there was a lot of discussion about all groups being appropriately recognized, Afro-Americans, Native Americans, Asians, and their participation during the forming days of this country. And want to make sure that everyone is recognized, every group is recognized, and it'll come back up next month. We meet July the 8th and 9th to finalize some of that. We just want everybody to be recognized in the curriculum that talks about the building of this nation. And right now there's some concerns if all is being appropriately recognized. The diagnostic test, Ms. Ward helped me with that earlier, that would have to be decided upon for this year and this year only. We talked about the sports issue. The opening of schools, we will know, Dr. Wright, when is it? You'll be notified August 1? No, I'm sorry, July 1, as to which one of those 3 groups will be placed in. Yes, sir, that's what they're telling us.
What, sir?
I was saying that's what they're telling us, July 1. Yes, sir, that's correct.
July 1. And then, of course, the planning starts forward as to whether we are being A, B, or C, which will determine on how we open school and what school is going to look like. We'll hear more about that as we get closer to next week's announcement. And they could do it by region, the health agency in Raleigh, and not by county. But they could do it by region. And in some cases, we might not be opening, where we might not be conducting school exactly the same throughout this state. We talked about the drive. Leandro, believe it or not, Leandro is back. Paperwork was submitted to Judge David Lee, who is handling the Leandro case this time. And I didn't know this. Maybe someone else did. The Leandro's case did start in Hope County. Mm-hmm. But it was not. It was about having honor courses in CTE. And it blossomed into every child across having an appropriate and adequate education free of charge in this state. Things were presented to Judge Lee, and he is committed to something is going to have to happen. And it's over a long period of time to make it better for every child in this state. The State Board of Education, the governor, approved the CARES monies last month, and you may or may not have, as a board, heard about it, and it's getting ready to storm here in my house. But let me just briefly tell you what the funds were presented. $75 million to support the school nutrition program for our at-risk students and all other families. $70 million to provide learning opportunities for students who are below grade level, which is the Jump Start program. $15 million for expanding services for students with disabilities who have been impacted by COVID. $30 million the purchase of hardware for students, and $12 million to purchase connectivity devices for students. But that's where a lot of that CARES money went. There's more dollars to be put out there, but everybody's waiting. As you well know, the General Assembly is going through the final days of its session, and we have to wait and see just what they do for educators, for teachers, and for principals. Basically, and the last thing I have, whether you have heard it or not, Dr. Dunlap, the Executive Director of North Carolina School Board Association, is retiring in January. And that's my report and my comments, Mr. Superintendent, from the State Board and the comment section on our agenda today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Board comments, Dr. Sharon?
I'll be brief. I don't have many. I just want to thank. I have really enjoyed this session, and I see that our board do have our children at heart, and I'm really glad that some of the decisions we made today, particularly concerning our teachers and getting their monies and so forth. Dr. Wright, glad to have you give us a good report. We've been keeping you in our prayers. Congratulations to all of those retirees that you mentioned. I didn't write them all down. Dr. King, Ms. Futrell, I hate to see you guys leave, but being a retired person myself, I know you're looking forward to it, so we wish you the best. I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to be doing on July 1. We're putting the school back in session. That's something that's we're going to have to walk and do the right thing for our children. Everybody just have a good summer, stay safe, and with all of the unrest and injustices that we're seeing going on today, it's like Dr. Ray said, when we see something, we got to speak to it, and everybody matters, so let's do the right thing. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Sharon. Next order.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Hall, I'm directly under a thunderstorm at this time, so I will be brief. I would like to say congratulations to all of our students in their hard work, and I wish them the very best and much success in the future. I did attend a graduation at the high school. It went very well. Children were still excited, even with the conditions they were in. So I just wish them the very best. Thank our staff and our central office, everybody that has jumped in and made this situation successful. to our retirees, all of them. I wish them much success. They've been very dedicated to our students. They went forth with our challenges that we have had, not only this year, but they will greatly be missed. Ms. Futrell, as well as I know Dr. Hardy, Patty. We started a long way back, and we've come a long way. But everyone retiring, you've earned it. You deserve it. I wish you the best of health and much success in whatever endeavor you wish to accomplish after your retirement. Thank you so much for your service and your interest in our Hertford County children for the many years that you have devoted to our school system. Also, everyone stay safe. Dr. Wright, thanks again for your leadership, and everyone take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Porter. Mr. Deloach?
Thank you, Mr. Shields. First of all, I want to say I share the same concerns that our board members have just shared, and we certainly recognize and congratulate all of those people for giving their years of service to our children. We certainly will miss you, and we thank you for all that you've done. I do want to bring one point to the attention of the administration and to probably parents as well. The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services has put out a toolkit for public education for schools as to what schools need to do in order to when we reopen. And it goes much further than social distancing and face cloths. It talks about cleaning and hygiene. It talks about monitoring symptoms, how to monitor the symptoms, what we are to do when kids and teachers and staff have symptoms. It talks about water and ventilation systems. It talks about transporting. It talks about food services. If you have not seen that, please look at that. And to our superintendent, I would suggest that you I know you've seen it already, but make sure our staff is prepared for it, that they see it, because there's a lot of things here that schools are required to do. Required to do for students, required to do for teachers, required to do for parents. So we have to be prepared. We know the school is going to start back eventually sometime. And if you have not seen this, and I won't go through it, it's about a 10-page document, but it talks about what schools are required to do. And we have to do those things in order to make sure that our schools are safe for our children, for our staff, for parents, and everybody else. So I just want to say, if you have not seen that, please, it is supported by the CDC. It's all supported by North Carolina Public Education. So if you have not seen it, look for it. It's coming from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Dr. King, thank you again. I do know that you sent this out to some of the staff members, so I'm hoping that everybody's seen it and everybody's working towards it. Thank you all, and you all be safe. Continue to be safe.
Thank you, Mr. Deloach. Our next board meeting is July 27th. I guess who knows whether it will be virtual or whether it will be back in face-to-face, but anyway, I wish everybody a happy 4th of July, and
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
The next meeting, can you set a time? Can we set a time today?
Thank you.
Yeah, let's set a time. Let's not leave it open.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. All right.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And if we need a special call meeting, I'll have to inform you about that. But it will also be at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. If there's nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Sheila Porter.
Second, James Sharon.
It's probably moved second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Happy birthday, America.
Ms. Porter just passed over me.
All right. It's a lot of rain. It's a lot of rain.